PEMCAST.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of PEMCAST. My name is Rebecca, and today we have Dan with us, who's going to share a little bit of his testimony from the past year. So yeah, do you mind sharing a little bit about yourself? Like maybe like your name, well, not your name. Maybe like age, life stage, hobbies, when you started coming to PEM, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, my name is Dan. My life stage, I'm a young adult. I'm 23 years old. I graduated college back May 2023. And hobbies, my main hobby nowadays is probably like going to the gym.
Yeah, actually earlier today I was thinking that I was excited for today's recording session because I was like, oh, I realized that Dan is one of the first people that I met at PEM. Because I like to sit front and center during service, and obviously that's where you like to sit too.
Yep.
If you don't know Dan, he's the guy who's like very tree-like. But,
Tree-like.
yeah, I thought it would be kind of fun if we could talk about our first impressions of each other. Yeah. So my first impression of Dan was before you became president of Emmaus.
What a life landmark milestone.
But yeah, I think I met you and Dan Wang the same day, actually.
Oh.
Like, that same time. And I was like, oh, what? Like, he's so nice and, like, polite. And I think I had, like, a disposition against college boys because I was like, oh, they're so, like, rowdy and immature. But, yeah, I was like, oh, very, like, good, very polite guy. I think it gave me a good first impression of PEM in general.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow. My first impression of you, I think... So we were still wearing masks during this time because it was like right after COVID. So I remember seeing Rebecca with a mask. And later on, I think it was like on Facebook, I friend requested you. I didn't know if that was you or not because I was like, I saw her profile pic without a mask. And I was like, is that her? I don't know if that's her. So that's what I remember from first impression. But also just like you were very nice, and also like, even though you were new, you were very like open to talk to a lot of like anybody that was around you, which is very rare for a lot of like new people at our church, because obviously our church is like 300 people. It's hard for like most people to just like talk to somebody near them. But yeah, that was my first impression of Rebecca.
Aw, I'm a words of affirmation girl. Thank you.
Yeah.
But yeah, so all is to say, I'm excited for us to talk. So I think we could just get right into it. So you said you graduated in 2023. So how has it been transitioning into young adulthood?
So for me personally, I already knew like a lot of young adults. I mean, not all of them, and definitely like not a lot of the family people at Penn either. But for me, because I was so involved for like a while at Penn, transitioning to young adulthood was not that hard for me personally. Like, I knew that I wanted to keep going to Penn. I knew that like my community was still there. I knew that like there were young adults from like previous years of Emmaus that I looked up to when they were leaders and I was a freshman. You know, like those people are young adults as well. And I looked up to them. I already knew them. So for me personally, transitioning to young adulthood has not been that difficult. But yeah, I think that it's definitely a lot more different. I'm further away from church, which makes it harder to like connect with a lot of people. It also makes it harder for me to like have to plan around if I want to go to like a praise and prayer night. I have to like, okay, I have to basically block out like a couple hours just to drive. So yeah, and there's ups and downs with transition to young adulthood life.
Okay, that's great to hear that things have been going well at church. So how are things outside of church too then, like career-wise or?
Yeah, so right after I graduated, I was looking for jobs as everyone does. And I was hit by a pretty big wall, you know, a lot of applying online and a lot of rejections. I'm sure like everybody can relate to this, especially within the past couple of years of graduating. I think the job market has been so bad that for new grads, it was hard to get jobs. So yeah, same thing happened to me. I couldn't get a job very easily. So I took that opportunity to spend the summer serving. I went to Georgia for the for that year, it was the second year that I went. I ended up going on another mission trip to Fresno, California, with the youth group of the KMPYC. I also served at retreats, VBS. VBS was really fun to serve at. I actually think I don't even like kids that much, if I'm gonna be honest. Yeah, sorry, but
Got it.
but yeah. Even though I don't like love kids, I'm okay with kids. I don't love kids. I still think VBS is like one of the most fun things to serve at. If anybody can actually, if that's my encouragement to anybody, if they are looking to serve in the summer because they have nothing to do, try VBS. Like there's always a need because there's like a bunch of kids that they have to take care of, and I think it's personally just like really fun. So I spent the summer serving, and as I was serving, I remember just praying to God. And so yeah, as I was serving throughout the summer, P. Danny came up to me with this request or opportunity, and it was, do you want to serve as like staff for Emmaus? Do you want to serve as like intern of Emmaus? And at the time, I was fully just like, nah, I'm good. I
Wait,
don't wanna,
really?
yes.
I did not know that. Okay.
Yeah. I was like, nah, I mean, I'm graduated. I'm done with Emmaus. I can help serve Emmaus in other ways. You know, I'm down to like help drive for Emmaus. I'm down to like help Emmaus if they need like mentorship or anything. But in terms of still serving at Emmaus, I was kind of against it. I thought it was kind of I did my time thing.
Oh.
But P. Danny's encouragement was to me, you know, it was pray on it, as he always does. And I prayed on it. And as I prayed on it, God gave me the revelation that this is something that you're actually called to do.
Oh.
Try it out, you know. And I was like, okay. I was like negotiating. I was like, okay, I'll do it for a year. You know, I was like, all right, fine. You know, I was like, I got the calling as I was driving to church one day, and I was praying while driving. And as I was praying, God put on my heart that, you know, I want to serve him. And this serving opportunity isn't just like something random that happened out of nowhere. It was like God showing me that the serving opportunity was presented to you for a reason. So I was like, all right, okay, I'll serve at Emmaus, fine. I told P. Danny about it. It ended up getting approved by the church. So now I was officially a Emmaus intern. And it was the first, like, I guess, job that I had because I was still job searching and I didn't have a full-time job. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to serve at Emmaus, but I also want to get a full-time job while I'm at it. So fast forward to end of the summer. Now it's like September, October of like 2023. And that year's freshman class, it was this past year. It was really big. Fast forward after, you know, summer and into September, October, I was still searching for jobs. And as I was serving at Emmaus, I was going to Emmaus every Tuesday night and helping out P. Danny with like random things that he needed help with, a lot of logistical things, a lot of helping out leaders if they needed help. I try to find my own ways to honestly serve Emmaus as intern because there was like an outline of what I should do, but it wasn't like anyone had done it before. So I needed to kind of figure it out as well. So anyway, as I was serving at Emmaus, I couldn't find a full-time job. But I got this one opportunity. It wasn't a job offer, it was an interview for essentially a full-time pharmacy tech position. And this was very big for me because I needed to build up clinical hours for what I wanted to do at the time, which was go into PA school. I graduated college with an exercise science degree. I planned on taking a year off just to work and build up clinical hours. And working at a pharmacy in a hospital setting would have been huge for me. So I got this job offer to work full-time. It was an afternoon shift, so it would have been from like 2 to 10. Again, perfectly fine with me. I mean, I'm not a morning person anyway. So I was like, this is amazing. I went to the interview and I thought I did really well. However, the interviewer was like, hey, are you okay with working 2 to 10? And I said, yeah, I am. There's just one problem. I have this prior arrangement where I'm basically have to help out this college ministry at Rutgers called Emmaus, and it starts at like 9 o'clock on Tuesday nights. So I'm not free Tuesday nights. But I'm free like any other, like I'm free Saturday nights. I can even maybe do some Sunday nights if needed. I can work in the morning on Tuesday. I was trying to give like all of these basically like other ways to like work.
Yeah.
Even though I just really couldn't do Tuesday night because I was committed to Emmaus. And the interviewer was just like, oh, we can maybe make something work. And the rest of the interview went great. Like I really thought that I did well. Like I was confident. I went back home. They didn't really like reach out to me within like a week. So I was like, oh man, maybe I didn't get it.
Yeah.
And then they scheduled me for another interview. And they scheduled me on my birthday, actually. So it was my birthday, and they called me. They were like, hey, we want to have another interview with you. And I was like, is this a sign? Like, it's my birthday, Like,
Happy birthday to me!
Yeah, happy birthday to me. I got a job. but I mean, you'll see. But I was excited, and I went home. And I told my parents, hey, like, the hospital pharmacy, the hospital pharmacy wants to do another interview with me. And my parents were like, oh, cool, like, how did the interview go last time? Because they didn't really ask me about it. And I was like, honestly, it went really well, except for the fact that I told them I can't work Tuesday nights because of Emmaus. And my dad got really upset, actually.
Okay.
So his thing was, why would you do that? If you're in an interview, you want to just say whatever the interviewer wants to hear. That's just common sense when you go into an interview. Why would you say you can't work a day that they need you? And I was like, well, I mean, it's because it's true. I'm not free on Tuesday nights. And at the time, I think my dad and my mom didn't really understand what I was doing, which was serving at a church under like intern or staff. And it was something I made a commitment to, and something that I couldn't just like, it wasn't something like for fun. They really thought that I was just going up to college Tuesday nights just to have fun.
Oh yeah, and to like fill your time, time while you're applying to
Yeah, they were like, just stop doing that, and go when you go to this next interview, tell them that you're free on Tuesday nights, so you'll get this job. And I was like, I can't. I couldn't explain it well because my parents speak in Korean, and because I can't speak Korean that well, I couldn't explain fully what it meant to me and what I was actually doing even. So I actually ended up like getting really upset and frustrated myself, even though my parents were frustrated, and I ended up crying that night.
Oh.
Yeah, in front of my parents, which I haven't done since I was like maybe 5 years old. Like, I don't cry in front of my parents often, or at all. And then I think my mom was like trying to be understanding, but my dad was like very much like, just get the job. Like, what are you doing? Very, very much like knowing that this was what would help my career. First of all, I'll get paid, which I wasn't getting paid at the time because I don't have a job. And then I would also be building up clinical hours, working in a hospital. And I could also find an opportunity to shadow like physicians, which is also needed for going into PA school. So for me, this was a big deal for what I wanted to do in my career. And yeah, my dad was just upset. My dad was like, let me talk to your pastor. So I actually called P. Danny that night, and my dad and P. Danny talked. P. Danny was like, yo, your dad's mad scary.
Oh my god, there's so much to the story I never knew. Oh my gosh.
This is something I don't think I've told anybody before.
Yeah.
P. Danny knows this, but I don't think anyone else knows this. And I mean, this doesn't end like very sad. Literally like the very next day, actually. So my parents are very understanding. I have to say, for being like first generation Korean immigrants, they are like some of the most chill, understanding Korean parents that you'll probably ever meet. Literally the very next day, my dad, he came up to me and he apologized. Like, I'm sorry that I was mad at you. And he said, I understand that you made like a promise to God to serve, and you doing that was actually the right thing to do because your faith is first. And so he said that to me, and he actually prayed for me as well.
Wow.
Yeah. So, in the moment, it's very understandable too. Honestly, I don't even blame my dad for reacting that way because he didn't know what I was doing. And also, I basically told him I gave up on my career. To him, this is what it sounds like.
Yeah.
I gave up on my career to go play at church. Like to him, and that doesn't make sense. So yeah, I was able to like kind of remedy it with my parents, and I didn't get the job, unfortunately. Even at the very next interview, I told them again, I'm not free Tuesday nights, but I can work Tuesday morning. I can work
any other time.
I can work Saturday nights. I can work Monday morning and Monday night. Like I can do double shifts. Like I don't care. I just can't do Tuesday night. And unfortunately, that's not what they wanted to hear. So didn't get the job. And, part of me was like, why? Like, why?
All of that hardship and what?
Yeah.
Like,
I didn't even get the job. So like, why? They interviewed me twice. Like, they don't interview people twice for a tech position, It was a farm tech position. Usually, if they like you, they hire you. If they don't like you, they don't hire you. Like, that's how simple it is with, like, those jobs. They interviewed me twice, so that must have meant they liked me, right?
Yeah.
And I tried to show them that I was flexible, even though I wasn't able to do Tuesday night. Mm-hmm. But, so I was, like, complaining to God, basically. Yeah. I was lamenting.
Shout out P-Day.
Yeah, shout out to P-Day for the sermon series. Lamenting. And I was like, why? Like, what's the purpose then? Like, why am I serving at Emmaus? I'm not going forward in my career. I'm broke. And I'm, like, to be honest, I think Emmaus can do fine without me even. Because I think the leaders are capable. And I think that P. Danny is also a very capable pastor now. He's been doing it for a while. Mm. So I was like, I don't even think I'm needed at Emmaus. But anyway, I was like having all these thoughts, and that was like October. That was like early October. Fast forward to like first week of November, my mom randomly told us that she started feeling pain in her breast, in her left breast. Uh-huh. And obviously it's a very scary thing to hear.
Yeah.
And my mom, like our family doesn't really go to the doctor. I don't know if any other like Asian families.
I think that's an Asian thing.
Yeah, it's an Asian thing. Yeah, it's funny. Like Asian parents always want you to become a doctor. They don't even go to doctors. Yeah, like I don't know, man. Anyway, so yeah, my mom like doesn't go to the doctor. Last time she had a mammogram was like 3-4 years ago, which you're supposed to get a mammogram like every year. Mm. And she's also at a high risk for breast cancer because it runs in the family. Not breast cancer, but cancer. She has cancer on her side, like her side of the family.
Yeah.
So, after she said that, we went to go get a mammogram done, or we went to go to a family doctor first. After we went to a family doctor, they they told us to go get a mammogram done at a radiology center. And so we did that. We got a mammogram done. They were like, you need to get a breast biopsy done. So we did that.
Oh my God.
And yeah, by the way, this whole system, in my opinion, is so annoying because if someone has breast cancer, don't you want to know like immediately? Yeah. Like these scheduling things happen like 1 week after the next too. Uh-huh. So eventually we got the breast biopsy done, and these were all like different doctors, different places that we had to go to. And the doctor called me back and was like, yeah, your mom has breast cancer. I'm sorry to say that, but we think it's very treatable. You just need to go find the breast surgeon, and you need to go find like a way to like, another doctor to start treating it. So I was like, all right.
Wait, that must have been really stressful though, because you said your parents don't really speak English, right?
Yes.
So you're the one getting this call, and you have to explain to them what was going on. Okay.
Yeah, my parents don't really speak English, and my mom also doesn't like driving. She can drive, she just prefers not to drive. She's like scared to drive a lot, which I think is common with a lot of, again, Asian parents.
Yes, relatable.
Yeah, very relatable, I'm sure. But I took her to all like those places, and I'm the one like that has to like roughly translate whatever the doctor says to me to her and to my dad as well. Mm-hmm. So yeah, after I got that call, I went to the hospital and I was like, hey, I need to schedule an appointment with a breast surgeon, preferably like as soon as possible.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay, we'll do it. We understand that it's an important matter. So because I went to the hospital first, or like went to one of the clinical centers, they were able to like get me to a scheduling person faster than if I had called myself, which was great because I hate being on hold for like 30 minutes. Mm-hmm. Anyway, the scheduling person was like, okay, I think I went there on like a Thursday. They were like, okay, we can do like a Tuesday at like this random doctor's place. And I was like, oh shoot, I don't know if I can do Tuesday. So prior to this, I should have said this before, I'm so sorry. But prior to this, I started working a new job. It was a per diem job. So it meant I worked throughout the week or like throughout the month, like 6-7 times a month. Mm-hmm. Just random days, like from Monday to Thursday. It was like mostly like 2 or 3 times a week. And it was this clinical job that I got through Zoe's aunt. And it was at an eye surgery center. Mm-hmm. So I should have said that before. I'm sorry. But in the midst of all that, I did find a job. Not a full-time job, but a job. And I checked my work schedule and I was like, oh shoot, I have work that Tuesday. Uh-huh. I was like, I'm sorry, but can you possibly do like Wednesday? And the call center person was like, yeah, we can do Wednesday. Like, does your mom prefer like male, female doctor? And my mom said no earlier. So I was like, no, my mom doesn't prefer a male, female doctor. It can be whoever is available on Wednesday. The service person was like, great, we'll have her see Dr. Flannery on Wednesday. So after the call was over, I went back home and told my parents about the news. And my parents were like, you know, they reacted like how you would expect. Sad, a little hopeless, but also like, you know, we gotta do what we gotta do, you know. Yeah. So
I mean, how are you feeling in all of that too?
Yeah, it felt surreal. Like it's like one of those things where you're like, you hear about like how breast cancer affects like many women like past the age of like 40, 50. Mm-hmm. And I was always like, yeah, but that won't happen to my mom, you know. Like it's one of those things that you think will never happen to you. Mm-hmm. And then it happens and you're like, I don't know how to feel, I don't know how to react. It's surreal. And I think my sister at the time was very much like, she was, from the get-go, she was like, it's okay, God will provide, God will save us, like God got us and everything. But I think I was more like, but what if it's like serious? I guess I viewed it a little pessimistically, which is not the right thing to do. But I guess that's just how I am. Yeah.
No, I feel like it's just like there was so much chaos during that time for you as well. So I'm like just imagining like you having to take all of this in, translating it to your parents, and then you also have to like come to terms with it yourself. Like I could that's totally a valid response. Like
yeah, I was definitely a little pessimistic, but hey, I was also like, all right, this sucks, but gotta do what I gotta do. I gotta take my mom to the hospital. Mm. So that Wednesday comes around and I take my mom to Dr. Flannery's office. And the entire time I'm like, why? Again, like, what's the point of this? Like, I thought this is something that we prayed over, I guess, not like specifically, but you know, we pray like that our family would be in good health. Mm-hmm. And my parents are in very good health, like prior to this, like, they never really had any injuries. They never had like any health problems. They didn't need to go to the doctor for like 3 years. I guess so I was like, why is this happening now? And we went into Dr. Flannery's office. And again, I was like, all right, gotta translate for my mom. And as we're waiting, I was expecting, just by the name, this is very prejudiced of me, I'm sorry, but just by the name, I was like, some like old dude is gonna walk into the room and is gonna like tell my mom what to do.
Yeah.
And I was like fully expecting to like, all right, I gotta translate as best as I can. And then as we were waiting in the room, like in the patient room, in walks in like this Asian lady who was like at a glance probably like 40, 50 years old. Okay. And she goes, oh, 안녕하세요, to my mom. And I'm like, this is crazy. What? She's Dr. Flannery. Yeah.
What? Okay.
So Dr. Flannery ends up being this Korean American woman. Mm-hmm. She's a breast surgeon at Cooper Hospital in South Jersey, and her last name was actually Yoon Flannery. So her Korean last name was Yoon. Yeah, it was a woman doctor, and she was Korean. So she talked to my mom the entire time. I didn't have to translate. She fully explained everything that my mom had to do. And for the first time, my mom could freely ask the physician what she wanted to ask as well, because she would always have to ask me, and I would like butcher the translation. So, you know, it was a big sigh of relief for both of us.
That's huge.
Yeah. And so in that time of like feeling like a little hopeless, that was the first point when we were like, oh, it's not like God like forgot about us. Like he's still watching over us. And it's so funny that it happened to be that Wednesday, because like I said, they were going to schedule me for Tuesday, but I had work that Tuesday because of my per diem job. Just happened to be on that Tuesday. I think actually, like right before this, or like 2 weeks before this, P. Don did a sermon about just so happened. I don't know if you were there or you remember the sermon at all, but I just remember like thinking back, like, oh wow, it just so happened that I had work this Tuesday, so I had to schedule my mom for Wednesday, and it just so happened that the doctor that got switched for my mom was a Korean doctor. And it just so happened, if you want to go even further back, just so happened that I got this per diem job because I wasn't able to get a full-time job.
Yeah, that's true. So if you didn't have the per diem job, you would have taken her on Tuesday and then...
Yep.
Okay, I see.
And it would have been a different doctor.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Yeah, so that happened. And then during that time, I also started working at K-Town Kitchen, which is Zoe's parents' restaurant. By the way, great food.
Shameless plug.
You need to try it if you haven't tried it. Cheesesteaks, amazing. Wings, amazing.
South Jersey, right?
South Jersey, yes, if you're ever in the area. Yeah, anyway, past that. So I started working at this eye surgery center per diem. I started working at, on the weekends, I started working at the restaurant. And in the meantime, I had free days here and there where I would take my mom to the hospital. And, you know, I wasn't making a lot of money. I didn't have a full-time job. But it became very apparent to me that maybe I didn't get that full-time job for a reason. Like that reason became slowly more and more clear to me. Because my mom had to undergo a lot of treatment. She had to do like chemo. She had to get like a bunch of tests done, like MRI, echocardiogram, more breast mammograms, more x-rays, blood tests like every 3 weeks, I think.
Yeah.
So it's a big deal when you're a cancer patient. They do a lot for you.
Like multiple, like throughout the week, like multiple appointments?
It would be like, yeah, sometimes like throughout the week, multiple appointments, or just like literally she would have to go to like a different doctor every week. Yeah. And then she started chemo. Actually, she had to get like surgery done too, like to place a port on her, like on her right upper chest area, which is where they did the chemo from. So like all like these random things that you have to do when you're a cancer patient. And I'm the one that took my mom to all of these places.
All of them.
And translated for her. My dad was too busy working. My sister's also too busy working. She lives in Bergen, by the way. And we live in South Jersey, so she doesn't have the capability to do it. So I had to be the one to do it. And like I said, if I had a full-time job, it would have been really hard to do it.
Yeah.
It might not have been possible, actually. And so as the treatment goes on, and as we go from like December, January, February, like 2024 now, I'm understanding, yeah, this all started when I accepted the calling to go into Emmaus
internship
as intern.
Yeah.
I started there, and I was so confused why God put me there. It's like he was playing Tetris with my life, and he just put like all these pieces that made sense eventually.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you don't see it in the moment, or at least I definitely didn't. I was like, why am I doing a Emmaus internship? Why am I not getting a full-time job? Why am I not focusing on my career? Like all of those answers like came to me when as the months went on. It was like, you're doing exactly what you need to do. You know, you're serving at Emmaus. This is like what God's telling me. It's like, you're serving at Emmaus, like how you need to do. You're there for your family, like how you need to do. And for your career, you're still working a clinical job. it might not be full-time hours, but you're still getting something. And you're getting some money. Again, not a lot, but it's enough for what you need.
Yeah.
It was never, I never had enough money to where I could just like spend it on like nice things that I wanted. It was always enough money so that I could like serve at church, buy people food.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
the
drive.
necessities.
Yeah, it's like I had enough money to like survive.
Yeah.
So it's very much like God revealed to me like, hey, like, you know, why do you doubt? I had these plans for you from the beginning, but you doubted me. Which, you know, I shouldn't have, but it's hard not to in that situation, right?
Oh, of course. Yeah. I mean, you weren't left to fend for yourself.
Yeah,
and
I wasn't.
no accidents, no mistakes. Like, yeah.
So yeah, my mom starts doing chemo. She stops working, by the way. So again, I'm the main person to like take care of her, kind of. And that part is also kind of draining, by the way. If there's anybody, like if anybody can relate, it is draining to like be a person taking care of like a family member when they need help. My mom, you know, going through chemo is really tough. So she couldn't really eat. She had like a lot of side effects like nausea, like wanting to throw up, loss of feeling in like the limbs, kind of like fingertips and like toes. Those are like very common side effects. So yeah, I had to be the person to kind of take care of her as well. Again, kind of draining, but you know, I had to do what I had to do. And then March rolls around, and as a Emmaus intern, one of the biggest things I had to do was actually plan out a Emmaus retreat.
Yeah. Wait, so, okay, I didn't go.
Yeah. It's okay.
But, yeah, can you tell me about, like, what kind of things you needed to plan for the retreat? Because, yeah, I was far removed from the process, so.
It's okay. Completely fine. If you can't make it, you can't make it, right? It's like, it's no one's fault.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's fine. But planning a retreat, a decent amount goes into it. First, it was me emailing a lot of retreat centers that were nearby. P. Danny really wanted to focus on distance because he didn't want to go somewhere that forced people to drive like 2+ hours.
Right.
Understandably, like I don't even want to do that. So, like distance. Next was like cost, like how much per person. And the next thing was like, is this retreat center big enough to support like a lot of people? Because again, the incoming freshman class at the time was so big, and Emmaus was consistently hitting like 90, 100 people like every week on Tuesday nights. I mean, if anybody saw church the past academic year, you would see Emmaus section. There's like 100 kids just like 100 kids in the Emmaus section alone, right? So,
and then you need more space on top of that for staff. And
exactly. Yep. Okay. Yeah. So I needed even more space than just like 100 kids. Like I needed like young adult volunteers, like praise team leaders, you know, or praise team members. Sorry, but anyway, there was a lot going on that I had to like try to figure out. I landed on my top choice was actually Harvey Cedars. And Harvey Cedars, I grew up going there as a high school student for retreats, actually. So,
is that the place that looks like? Oh wait, no, never mind. I was thinking of a different place, but it's like there's a lake nearby, right?
It's next to the ocean.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's right next to. It's like the shore is like right there. Like you can walk to the shore from the retreat center. Yeah, but. Yeah, I ended up being able to ask Harvey Cedars if he can do it. We had a little bit of back and forth. P. Danny was like, okay, let's do Harvey Cedars. And we did a Emmaus retreat. Again, that week when I was planning, the last like week leading up to Emmaus retreat was pretty stressful. There's so many things I didn't like realize what I had to do, which was like assign like bunks, collect money. Well, this is mostly P. Danny that did it, but like collecting money from everyone, making sure they got paid, where to park, like which amenities we needed to use, or and all that kind of stuff that I didn't. Oh, like when to eat and stuff like that.
Oh,
yeah, or like how many meals we can get, because we could cut the cost by cutting out Sunday breakfast. Or Saturday breakfast? Yeah, I forget. Sunday breakfast, I think we could cut out and we could save money on. Stuff like this that you don't think about. if you never planned a retreat before. But anyway, I figured it all out. It was a stressful week, but at the end of it, I was like, hey, I was praying about it during the week of planning, and I was like, I just really hope that the Emmaus students get blessed. I hope that the young adult volunteers get blessed, and I'm gonna do whatever I can to make sure that happens. I want to make sure that the retreat runs as smoothly as possible, and even if I have to sleep like 2 hours a night, like I'll do it. So yeah.
Oh my god. It's a big sacrifice.
Yeah, I was like, hey, I gotta do what I gotta do. So going into Emmaus retreat, that's exactly my mindset, and I was like, I just want everything to go well. And I think it did. Emmaus retreat, we had like small groups led by our young adult leaders. Wang was one of them. We had a lot of different young adults from like all age ranges. We had some family members that also came, visited. I think even like Lonnie stayed there all 3 days, and she was the leader as well. So yeah, I was incredibly blessed by the young adults that stepped up to serve. And I think the Emmaus students were as well, because the young adults were also all amazing at taking care of the students. And, again, still my mindset during this time was, hey, I want to make sure everything runs smoothly. I want to make sure that if there's a need, like I can cover it so that the Emmaus leaders don't have to do anything, so that P. Danny has less to do. I want to try to do as much as I can to help out.
So are you like, is this a stressful thing that's going on? Like you're stressfully thinking, I will do whatever needs to happen? Or you're just like accepting it? Like, because I'm like, I could go either way.
Yeah, no, so I was pretty stressed. I was like,
got it. Okay.
Because even at the retreat, like while like, stuff was going on, we were running out of water for one. So like I had to go make multiple stops to like get water.
Yeah.
I had to make another stop to Costco to get ramen and also like more snacks because we're running out of those. I had to go, I had to make encouragement note like cups.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I forgot. Honestly, this is my fault. I forgot that I had to do that. So literally, I think P-Day's sermon on the Saturday morning is when I went to Walmart and picked up a bunch of encouragement note stuff.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I was running around during this time, during the retreat. Again, but that's what I wanted to do, right? I wanted to make sure that everything went smoothly. But the second night rolls around and amazing worship session. P. Don gives a sermon on John 13:35. Love one another as I've loved you. And it's a great sermon, and I'm there worshiping, and we have a prayer time. Esther led a prayer topic, P. Danny led a prayer topic, and then P. Day led a prayer topic after them. And P. Day's prayer topic was, listen, like, God knows you. God knows your heart. God knows you whether you like it or not. He knows everything like that you're thinking of. He knows all your stresses. He knows like what you need and what you don't need. God placed a prayer on your heart, and right now I just want you to like pray that prayer that God placed on your heart. And as I was praying, I immediately went like, oh no, I know what prayer this is. And it was the prayer to go into ministry. Yeah. It was almost like God was telling me, like, you know what it is. Like, the prayer that you need to pray. And so I was like, okay. I was praying. And, as I was praying, I was like, I didn't pray like, God, I want to go into ministry, like send me. Like, I didn't pray that. I actually was like, God, like if you can make it more clear, like what I should do.
One more sign.
Yeah, if you can make it like a little more clear, like, just like, maybe I don't think it's for me. Yeah. Like, I really don't think it's for me. Like, I don't think I can do it. I don't think this is what you have called me to do anyway. I think I'm called to, work in a healthcare environment, which I love doing because I see a lot of healthcare as also like ministry where you're serving others. And I love like interacting with patients and like, that's what I do in my per diem job is I love being able to interact with them, talk with them, even if it's just for a little bit and, giving that little bit of a boost of like energy when they need it as they go through like whatever ailments they go through, right? So I was like, yeah, it's not for me, but God, if you can make it a little clearer. And almost like right after I prayed that prayer, as I was still praying, I hear like God's talking to me. Now, this has happened once before. Okay. This is the second time it's ever happened to me. I hear God's voice talking to me, and he asked me, is it clear now? And it's in that moment.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's in that moment. It's like, in that moment, I thought of like, what do I enjoy in life? I enjoy serving at church. What more would I want to do in life than to serve at church?
Yeah.
It's not about chasing money. It's not about like buying like fancy stuff for me or stuff like that. It's like, what do you enjoy? It's serving at church. And wasn't this past year a reflection of that, when you served at Emmaus? And I was like crying, by the way. I was like crying during this moment. And yeah, so I was like, yeah, it's clear. It's clear to me that God called me into ministry in that moment.
So when you're crying though, like what is the biggest emotion that you're feeling? Like,
to be honest, I don't know. Like, I'm not crying because I'm sad. Yeah, it's more like gratefulness.
Yeah,
I think is a big one. Like, out of anybody, like, why would you choose me, kind of thing. I think I feel that way a lot whenever I reflect on my life, and like I'm like, I'm not a great Christian. I fell into temptation so many times. As we all do. Of course, as we all do.
Yeah, don't speak that way about yourself.
Yeah. But, when you think about that, and then you think of the weight of your sin, but you think of, Jesus still loves me. He still loves me enough to die for me. It makes you very grateful. And I think that's the main driving force behind why I was like crying a lot. Anyway, I was like in shambles. Anyway, yeah. Right after, P-Day actually sits right next to me, and I talked to him like, hey, I think I just got called into ministry. Like, he was the first person I told. P-Day was like, wow, that's insane. And
this is within minutes.
Yeah, like actually within minutes.
He came down.
Yeah, he did. Actually within minutes. And I was like, yeah, I don't know what to do. And he was like, it's okay. You're probably caught up in a lot of emotion, which is fine. But what you should do is you should wait on it. Don't rush into any thoughts right now. Don't be like, hey, I gotta go into a missionary field. I gotta be a pastor. I gotta do this, and this. Don't think of any of that right now. Just be still and listen to what God has in store for you. And so I said, okay. And he ended up praying for me, which was really nice. So fast forward, I slowly tell like people here and there, hey, I think I got called into ministry. Or not even I know I got called into ministry.
Oh my gosh,
And one thing that also confirmed that calling was the communal calling as well, where I told some people this and they were like, yeah, I had a feeling.
No way.
Yeah, they were like, you were probably called. I could tell you were getting called into ministry.
Like every person that you told said that.
I don't know about every person that I told, but a lot of them. Yeah.
What? Oh, like you're you're like having this big momentous moment. Like, hey, I think I got called into ministry.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh,
yeah.
You didn't know?
Yeah. Actually, people were like, yeah, duh. Like, I told people, and that was another way of confirming it. I think the community blessing me as well. And so I did exactly what Pete Day told me to do, which was to wait on it, pray about it, which is what I did. As I was praying about it, I was like, what should I do next? Am I supposed to go into seminary? Am I supposed to still go into what I want to do in the healthcare field? Like, what is it? Because the calling was going into ministry, not specifically like, hey, you're going to become a youth pastor or something like that. So I prayed about it. I ended up finding out, doing a little bit of research, seminary applications were still available. And again, I consulted P. Danny and P. Day about this, and they were like, they both said the same thing. It was like, just try it. Just apply. If you don't get in, you don't get in. If you do, you do. And I was like, okay. So I applied to Princeton Theological Seminary, and I got accepted.
You only applied to one place.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
Is it clear now?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, but I got accepted into PTS, and then so began the enrollment into PTS, and telling people here and there. Telling my parents was also like a journey to tell my parents this. On one hand, they were like, yeah, we also had a feeling. And then on the other hand, they were like, but you gotta be smart. My dad especially was a lot like, there's a lot of pastors out there who think they get called, or maybe they do get called into ministry, but they don't serve faithfully. They're not pastors that uphold that calling well. Like, you can't be one of those. If you're gonna go into ministry, you gotta be fully into it.
Yeah.
And if I'm gonna be honest, that's the part I'm struggling with the most right now. I think a lot of my laziness comes over, and is like, and at times I forget that I'm like, hey, I want to do ministry in like the future. I can't be like not thinking about it or not praying about it as I sometimes do now. So yeah, that has been the past. Now that was during Emmaus retreat is when I got the calling. That was in March. Around April is when I applied to PTS, and the past few months after April was just me enrolling, getting to tell people, hey, this is what I'm gonna do. People saying like, congrats, and all that. Having that kind of community support was also very big from PEM. So very grateful to everyone that was supporting me in this way.
Yeah. So in you going to PTS, did God reveal anything else to you, like a specific job, or like you didn't get another like dream saying like you're gonna be a youth pastor? Okay.
Yeah, no.
So you're just going faithfully, and
I'm going faithfully. I'm going to study for the MDiv program, Master of Divinity. It's 78 credits, 3 years, and I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with it, but one thing's for sure is I'm going to keep serving throughout the time. I actually just recently approved to just do a Emmaus internship again for the following year.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm going to be serving at Emmaus again, and this time I really do see more of a need for it, because Emmaus has gotten even bigger since then, or we're projected to get even bigger. And there's a leadership team that's like 40 something leaders now.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And P. Danny was like, yeah, like if you're in seminary, you can also help serve better. And I was like, yeah, I definitely can. So with that being said, like that's what I know for certain that I'm going to be doing, is continuing to serve in whatever way God pushes me towards. And yeah, that's pretty much the past year of my life.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing to hear.
Thank you.
In so much detail too. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I was just taken on a roller coaster.
Yeah, I feel bad if I like talk too much, but
no. So with all that being said, what do you think is one thing you would want anyone at PEM or anyone listening to take away from your story?
One thing that I want everyone that's listening to understand is God has like a purpose for your life. You might not know it yet, and it's completely okay to like feel like lost or feel like question God, like why is this happening? Like I thought this is what you wanted, like, and all that stuff. But it's okay to feel those things. But I think in the process of feeling those things, it's important to still stay faithful to God, keep your trust in Him, and through those trials, it comes out that your faith will be made stronger even. So yeah, whatever trials you might be going through, it's probably, rough for everybody that that's a Christian out there with calling and with what they want to do in life, but understanding that your calling is supported by God. It's not like God says do this and then dips. He's there with you through every step of the way. So just keep your trust in him, because he's faithful even when you're not, and he will really carry you throughout the end. So yeah, I think that's my biggest takeaway.
And is there any way that I or anyone listening can pray for you? Do you have any prayer requests?
Yeah. So for me personally, it's an ongoing struggle that I fall into, like a lot of temptation still. Like even if I am going into ministry, I can't help but forget about God a lot of times. I can't help but fall into sin over and over again. And then I go back and I'm like, hey, I'm sorry.
My bad.
Yeah. A big one for me is laziness. I get super lazy when I don't have to work, or I don't have anything immediate due. I'm one of those procrastinators that pushes things off to the very end. And all of these things that don't glorify God, I still I'm pretty much doing a lot of, and I'm trying to get better. But also I understand that if you're gonna go into ministry, you gotta practice what you preach. I can't be a pastor or whatever that doesn't try to fix themselves or try to improve their walk with God too. So just pray for me to stay faithful to God's calling. To whatever God wants me to do, to not back down.
And surely, like you said, God is there with you every step of the way, but I am pretty confident. I'm so confident actually that Pem is going to be more than happy to rally around you and support you. If you're a guy listening, buy Dan a meal.
It's okay. Thank you. I'm very blessed by that community that's at PEM that has supported me throughout all this. I can't imagine my life, all this happening without PEM at its side, So, thank you.
So if there's anyone who does want to buy you a meal or wants to pray for you or see how you're doing, how should they get in contact with you?
Yeah, so if you ever see me at Emmaus large group, or if you ever see me at church, I'm usually in the front, like Rebecca said. By the way, I get self-conscious sometimes because so many people have said that to me. It's okay. It's not serious, but
it's because we love it. You're a point of reference.
Yeah, actually, P. Don has mentioned it on stage too.
It wouldn't be the same without.
Yeah, I guess so. If you ever just walk up to me, sometimes I have RBF, so I might not look like I'm having a good time, but trust me, I'm perfectly fine, and you can come up to me and talk to me if you want. You can also reach out to me through Facebook, Instagram. You can probably find me somewhere on the PEM or Emmaus page. Just any of those things.
Okay, great. Well, I'm sure everyone is going to be so excited to see how this journey goes for you. So there's more to come. This isn't the end.
This is not the end. Yep.
All right, but thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
I think that's a wrap. Yay!